Hey, is this on? All right, some updates on the metaverse today. We are releasing Meta Horizon OS, our operating system that powers Quest virtual and mixed reality headsets, and we are partnering with some of the best hardware companies out there to design new headsets that are optimized for all the different ways that people use this tech. Now, in every era of computing, there are always open and closed models. And with phones, Apple's closed model basically won out. Phones are tightly controlled, and you're kind of locked into what they'll let you do. But it doesn't have to be that way. In the PC era, the open model won out. You can do a lot more things, install mods, you got more diversity of hardware, software, and more. So our goal is to make it so that the open model defines the next generation of computing, again, with the metaverse, glasses, and headsets. So that's why we're releasing our operating system so that more companies can build different things on it. We've been building Meta Horizon OS for about a decade. We started building it off Android, and while it's still compatible, we've now built it into a much broader and more capable mixed reality and spatial computing OS. The key ideas behind Meta Horizon OS are a feeling of presence with people no matter where you physically are, bringing digital objects like huge screens into your physical space, navigating and interacting with virtual spaces, and supporting developers and creators and building all these new apps and experiences.
So that was Mark Zuckerberg over at Meta Facebook showing their new OS and talking about their future plans. I want to talk about Meta Day with you and also Tesla because we have a question from someone in the community. This is coming from Jabron. They say, "Hello, Chris. Can you please explain why Meta, so that's the stock, which beat expected revenue and EPS, so that's earnings per share, has stock price go down, but Tesla, which actually had terrible revenue, has stock go up? Is everyone just delusional and living in a clown world? People talk about guidelines, but Tesla robot Optimus or Taxi don't even exist in a final form to even scale. It's borderline fantasy." And I appreciate the support and also appreciate the question, Jabron. I'm going to answer this in a couple different ways. So first, I'll just say very clearly, unfortunately, in the world that we live in, you can be rewarded by basically lying to people or over exaggerating or basically selling dreams that don't exist. So I know I laugh at this, but it's true. You can be rewarded from telling people the things that aren't exactly true. And Tesla's really good at that. They're really good at that kind of stuff, right? Some people say they're outright liars. Some people say, well, they just exaggerate. Some people say, oh, no, they tell the truth. Just their deadlines don't always quite get met. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But in my point of view in these kind of things, unfortunately, Tesla is good at playing this game, essentially telling you things that aren't exactly true, and you can be financially rewarded for it, which is crazy in itself. That's the world that we live in. Because see here, the headline says, why Tesla stock is soaring after a Q1 earnings miss. So their numbers didn't come in so great, right? Revenue and earnings were down, yet they told everyone a story and a fantasy that you're all going to be rich with robotaxis. And they were like, oh my God, we're going to be rich with robotaxis. It must be awesome. And they don't show you anything. So the difference was Mark Zuckerberg's like, hey guys, we got stuff. Take a look at it, right? So, and this is going to be for you to decide like who is more honest or not. To me, it's obvious, but I think that's essentially what we're looking at here is like how honest you are with both investors and also too with Wall Street. In Meta's situation, it says here, Meta plunges 18% on weak revenue guidance, even as first quarter results top estimates. Now, there's a quote I want you to read with you guys. It's from Benjamin Graham in the book Intelligent Investor. And he says, in the short run, market is a voting machine, but in the long run, it is a weighing machine. And just let that sink in. In the short run, the market is a voting machine, but in the long run is a weighing machine. Essentially, stocks can go crazy and move in crazy ways in the short run because you can tell people stories, etc. But ultimately, though, you need to actually deliver. You actually need to make money, etc. The funny thing is with Tesla is they're able to perpetuate this fantasy for years. Ultimately, I think it's going to catch up to them because I think the market is a weighing machine, and we'll see. Meta is a bit more honest, and I think that's sort of what's punishing the stock. So again, unfortunately, in Wall Street, you're incentivized by making stuff up if you can convince people of your lies. This is a great book, Intelligent Investor. It's all about cutting through the BS and stuff like that and understanding how the markets work. I encourage you to read it, and please check it out. I also encourage you to read my book. It's called Positive Angle, and it has similar kinds of themes as Intelligent Investor, mostly just how to navigate through life and get better. I put a lot of questions in there for you to think about yourself. And hopefully there'll be a few quotes in my book, just like the Benjamin Graham one, where it gets you thinking about life, and you'll never forget it ever again. It's just what reading is, right? Everyone is gonna have different books that appeal to them, and then there's gonna be different quotes in each book that will stick with you forever. So this is one that I really like about Benjamin Graham, and I'd love to hear favorite quotes that you guys like from my book for those of you who've read it, and if not, pick up. I want to go over Meta though with the numbers and stuff like that, so you can see essentially Meta was more truthful. They were punished for it, which is kind of sad. The stock went down 16.5%, and this sort of like, if you understand how this thing works, it's like, wow, I'm punished for telling the truth, and then like I'm rewarded for essentially lying or overplaying fantasies over at Tesla. It's crazy, right? But this is the way our markets work, guys. So what is the lie/fantasy over at Tesla? They're telling you guys, we're going to have robotaxis and we're going to be awesome, right? And when you ask them for details of this said thing, they'll say, well, wait, we'll tell you in a couple months. And then a couple months passes and they say, hey, what's going on with the robotaxi? Oh, wait another year. Like, they keep pushing it further and further. And you're kind of wondering, like, is this thing ever going to come? But Elon Musk and Tesla keep convincing people to wait further down the line. In Meta's situation, they're showing you what we got up front, and they're being a little bit more honest, say, hey, it may not be ready today, but we're looking in a few years, but this is what we're working on, and we're going to have you take a real good look at it. So let me play the video for you. You can have a sense of what you're talking about here.
You can do all this on Quest today, but now we're also working with Lenovo, Asus ROG, Xbox, and more to build headsets that are going to be designed for specific use cases. So you can imagine a lightweight headset that pairs with your computer on your desk to provide the best work experience, whether you're at home or anywhere else you go. Or you can imagine one that's fully focused on watching immersive entertainment like movies and videos with the highest resolution OLED screens. Or think of one that's fully optimized for gaming with support for all kinds of different peripherals and haptics. You can imagine one that's designed for exercise, that's extra light with sweat-wicking materials. Or maybe just a version that comes out of the box with Xbox controllers and a Game Pass so that you can immediately just start playing on a big screen anywhere you go. We're also, as part of this, going to be opening up our store to give you even more options to use whatever experiences you want. So whether they're on Steam, Xbox, cloud gaming, our own app lab, or even Google Play, if they're up for it, our philosophy is that we want you to be able to run the content on Quest or any Meta Horizon operating system headset. All right, so opening our OS, that's the next step in bringing all these different use cases of the metaverse to everyone. It's probably going to take a couple of years for some of these new products to start launching, but I'm really excited to get started on this next chapter and to get this into your hands as soon as possible.
So talking about Meta, this is the headline here. Meta projects higher spending, weaker revenue amid AI push. So we know what they're working on. They say, hey, maybe ready in a few years, etc. And the question is for investors, is it going to be worth it? And how much are you spending, right? Those are natural questions when you're talking about a business. So Meta actually gave some numbers and essentially caused the stock price to go down because people are like, I don't know. Maybe you're spending too much for too little benefit, right? That's essentially what we're talking about here. Let's read through it together. It says, Menlo Park, California-based social networking company also projected second quarter sales of $36.5 billion to $39 billion. Analysts expected 38.2. So they're kind of giving a range. They're in the range of what analysts are expecting in terms of sales. But then it says here, at the same time, Meta raised its expected cost for the year. So they're going to spend more, they're going to have more costs, and now believes capital expenditures will be 35 to 40 billion, which is kind of a big range there. I mean, a 5 billion difference. So who knows what it end up being. Earlier this year, estimated expenses related to things like servers, AR hardware, data centers would be 30 to 37. So essentially, they're raising the amount of money and sort of like projections of what they're going to spend. And that's sort of what is spooking Wall Street a bit. We expect capital expenditures will continue to increase next year. So quote from them, as we invest aggressively to support ambitions, AI research and product development efforts. That's coming from the CFO, Susan Lee. And the question I pose to you guys, when you see the stuff that they're working on, do you think it's worth it to spend all of this money? And they're even increasing the projections that they're saying. And again, the difference between the Meta and the Tesla, whether or not Meta's business model works, who knows? That's for you to decide when you take a look at the videos and we look at the numbers. For me personally, I don't want to wear the goggles. I'm just not into it. So I just think it's a waste of money. That's just me. But I'm not a young kid. Maybe young kids do want to wear the goggles, and maybe the young kids want to say, hey, I want to wear that headset goggles, and I want to poke my arm around and play Steam games and Google games or whatever. on my headset. Maybe, guys, it's certainly possible. At this stage in the game, though, I'm not seeing it right for me myself. In terms of the goggle things, where I think there are some use cases, I think theoretically, when we get the technology to have sort of like, how can I say, VR at a concert or VR at like a sporting event, where I can sit, in the front row, and I don't actually have to go there. I just have to put on my headset, and they essentially have cameras on like ideal prime locations. I think there might be a lot of money of that, and I think there will be a case for that kind of thing. I didn't see them present that kind of stuff. They keep pushing more towards gaming kind of thing or work office applications, but I don't, just for me, I still see the goggles as being more of a play toy opposed to like a work toy, or how can I say, I just don't see it something I would be using every day. I just see it something like on special occasion. I think the other problem is too, I'm just talking out loud with you guys, is I can wear the goggles for maybe 10 minutes. But then after that, I just don't want to wear them anymore. They're too heavy and they give me a headache. So I'm not seeing it, let alone wanting to spend a ton of money on said thing. So that's sort of my general thoughts on that. And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts as well. Some people in the community have said like, hey, I love the goggles. I do exercise games on them, etc. And some people really like it, but I'm just not one of them. So, when I see that, and at least Meta's being honest, they see they're going to spend a bunch on this thing. I'm not feeling it. The difference though between the Meta and the, say, Tesla situation, which is kind of crazy, you ask, people at Meta a question, they answer it, and they even give you numbers. If I ask someone at Tesla a question, like Elon Musk, this would be the question, hey, Elon Musk, when are you going to solve the FSD autonomy stuff? And then Musk is like, even if I got, this is a real quote, even if I got kidnapped by aliens tomorrow, Tesla would still solve autonomy. That's basically what it is. And it's like, wait, what? He says like these weird, vague things, or they say, hey, what's going on with the new car thing? And they'll say, hey, we're going to use aspects of the old platform and the new platform. And you're like, okay, so what does that mean? It's just, Tesla's really good at like telling you half truths and basically outright lies, and people still go along with it. But they're rewarded for it, which is kind of crazy. And it sort of feeds into these headlines. Elon Musk is keeping investors' dreams of a Tesla robotaxi alive. And that's sort of what we talk about on the channel, is like, how long can this charade go? And I just want to make it clear, to answer your question initially, like, why does one stock go up and another one go down? Essentially, it depends on how truthful a company is with you. But ultimately, you would think, right, the markets would figure out over time that, like, hey, this Musk guy, he doesn't meet his deadlines and he tells us a bunch of crazy fantasies. And the thing about it, though, which is nuts, is that the fanboys and fangirls still go along with it, even though he has tons and tons of broken promises. And so I don't know what world we live in. The other issue as well, between the difference between Meta and Tesla, Meta's giving you like really hard number projections on this stuff, where Elon Musk they don't really do that. So that's why the stocks are moving. And I find the whole thing a clown show. So yes, you are correct. We are in a market of delusions and clown shows, but when the money gets sucked out of the system, which it should be, with interest rates going up and with the quantitative tightening, you would think that money would be sucked out. And I'm frankly still surprised that your Bitcoins and your cryptos and your Teslas are still elevated, but maybe not for long. We're going to find out. I think ultimately you have to pay the piper at the end. So that's just my thoughts on this. So hopefully you guys find this useful and interesting. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that Zuckerberg and the team over at Meta Facebook are going to deliver? And also, too, what do you think about Tesla? Do you think they're going to deliver? Because at the end, ultimately at the end of this whole thing, is that you do have to deliver, and we do need to see results, I would think. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this, and I'll catch you next video.